Hello, how are you?
I'm out of breath.
Yeah,
As are you. We're both panting down the
yes.
microphones. Why, Charlotte? Why are we out of breath?
Well, we were sat here,
Mm.
weren't we? And we were like, what are we going to talk about today? And we were faffing. And we were like,
Mm.
oh, should we not do this today? Should we do it? Still out of breath. Maybe next week. And I was like, no, we're going to do it now. And we're going to create our energy now because we weren't in the literally, guys, probably 2 to 3 minutes ago. We were not in the energy for a podcast, were we, Kat?
No. I
At
don't know what
all.
we were doing. We knew we know what we want to talk about, but the energy was just
It was low.
flat.
Yes, it
Yes.
was. And we just put on one high vibe tune and we just danced.
And now we're
We
out of breath,
jumped.
but in the right energy.
We are. So we're good to go now, aren't we?
We
So
are.
that is going to be our strategy from now on. If we're ever not feeling it, get that song
Oh,
on, get
yeah.
dancing, and let's go.
That's it. If you need to change your state, get your track on, move your
Yes.
body. It's all in our physiology.
Yeah.
So now we are raring to go. So today, what are we talking about?
We are talking about mindset.
Oh, yes.
Oh, and what is mindset? And it is literally our state of mind, and that is how we think and how we feel. And guys, our thoughts are so
Mm.
important. And a lot of our thoughts, possibly right now, are quite on autopilot and we're not thinking about our thoughts. They're just happening without us knowing and they're driving our feelings. So we're going to dive into this today, aren't we, Kat?
Yeah, we absolutely are. And our mindset is, like Charlotte's just explained, a state of mind. It's so important that we look after it and we see that looking after it as important as we would looking after our physical body. Like we go to the gym, right? Or we go for jogs or we do yoga, we do something, we do any kind of movement, and
Yeah.
we're mindful of what we feed ourselves and the water that we drink to look after ourselves from a physical perspective. But it's like we've got to question, what are we doing to look after our mind and our mindset, because it really does drive us, doesn't it?
It does.
And like you've just touched on, the importance of our thoughts create our reality.
Mhm.
So it's important that we start to raise that awareness. Like you've just
Yeah.
said, there's so many thoughts that we have that are just on autopilot, that we're not even aware that we're thinking of them. And how many thoughts do we have a day? Like something ridiculous, like over 60,000 thoughts.
60,000. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Literally.
how many are on repeat from the same ones that we
Nine,
had yesterday?
95% are repetitive and exactly the same as yesterday, and 80% of those are negative. And that's mind blowing in itself, right? And the more that we
Yeah.
can build that awareness and start shifting some of these thoughts, this is something that we do every day personally, isn't it? It's what we do with our members. But our thoughts literally drive everything.
Mm.
And it's the one thing that we don't spend enough time tapping into. We try and obviously, we're driven, we think about those. Motivation actually is a great example of this, isn't it?
Yes.
If we're waiting around for that feeling of feeling motivated, right?
Mm.
We could be waiting a long time. But what we do is we're thinking about how we feel. And that feeling then drives our actions,
Mm-hmm.
which then gives us our results. So if we're feeling motivated, we are going to go to that gym, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to build some muscle and we're going to get stronger. But if we're not feeling motivated, we're probably not going to go to the gym and we're not going to feel stronger and we're not going to do that. And we're kind of relying on this feeling, and feelings
Mm.
obviously come and go. We are always going to experience motivation and we're always not going to experience motivation. So our power is really going one step further and going back to the thought, because our motivation is driven by our thoughts, isn't it?
Mm.
Everything, all of those feelings that we're feeling are driven by our thoughts. So in tapping into those, we can really grab our power back and kind of go on this cycle of thoughts, create our feelings, create our actions, create our results. We've got the power right there, rather than dabbling around in feelings that can come and go.
Mm. That's it. That's exactly it. We overlook the almost like the start of the process. So I
Mhm.
like to think about this in a way of like almost like a computer processing. So you have the input and you have the output.
Yeah.
and we dabble around with the feelings and we change the or try to change the feelings, or we even skip that part and we try to change the actions. We try and do something different, but we maybe not being consistent with that or getting the results that we want still, because there's the feelings that still crop up. So it's like, well, what is the real input, and how does that input create the output? And the input is way back underneath, and it's the thought. And like we've just said and shared, like those statistics are crazy. Like 95% of our thoughts are the same as yesterday. But how many of those are we aware of?
Yeah.
Not very many. Like we think 5% on a conscious level, and 95% of it is unconscious thinking.
Yeah.
So this is programming of our mind over the years. And it's not that someone sat us down and gone, okay, welcome, Kat Houghton, let's program you. It's been through conditioning and through experiences and through environment, through our parents, through our caregivers, through our teachers, through our circles that we mix in, through our friends, all the interactions we have over life. We've got these thoughts and these beliefs and these stories we have about ourselves, what's possible for us, the way we think, our map of the world, our perspectives. And the most exciting thing about all of this is that we have the ability to change it through choice.
Yeah.
This is the start of the journey in actually thinking about the thoughts. And you might be listening thinking, for God's sake, Kat and Charlotte, you have me to think about my thoughts. I don't even have time in the day to do X, Y, Z. But if you want real change, that input has got to be different.
Yeah.
Because if we keep putting the same input in unknowingly to us because it's on autopilot,
yeah,
the output's still going to be the same, which is our outcome, which is our result that we're getting in life.
Yeah.
So we've got to think differently. And this, I'm a big raving fan of thinking differently. It's like trying on something new. It's trying a new thought process. And yes, at first, just kind of saying to yourself, we like to use the example of confidence. If you really are lacking in confidence, low self-esteem, to just wake up one morning and think, I'm as confident as Beyonce.
Yeah.
That's not really a good move, because you're not going to feel that.
No.
You're not going to be ready to get on stage and perform to thousands of people.
Yeah.
But what's one step closer to where you want to get in a better thought process, rather than getting up and saying on repeat, knowingly or unknowingly, I'm just not good enough. I just don't believe in myself. People like me can't do these things. I don't have the confidence. Why even bother? That's not going to get us to where we want to get to. But a slight maneuver, a slight tweak, such as, I'm working on my confidence. Just a tiny maneuver, isn't it? And then keep running with that. I'm working on my confidence.
Maybe I'm doing the things to build my confidence.
I'm doing the things to build my confidence. Absolutely. Yeah. And see what effect that has.
Yeah.
See what happens when you put that new input in, because feelings will be generated in a different way.
Yeah.
It's breaking these patterns. It's breaking these habitual thinking patterns that we've just got so good at doing.
Yeah.
Like anything, we know we get good at something when we practice.
Yeah.
We want to build a muscle, we go to the gym. We keep going, we keep going consistently. So it's the same principle we need to apply to rewiring and reprogram our minds. We've got the ability to do it. We choose the thoughts that come into our mind. We're the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
We first of all got to bring them to awareness, and then we've got to decide what we do about them.
Yeah. I'd love to put you on the spot with this one.
Yeah, go for it. I like big
what were our thought processes when we were sat just a moment ago thinking, not clear on this episode, and going, I don't know whether what kind of were those thought processes before we changed our state?
Changed our state, that is a really good question. So let me just tap in.
Tap in.
My thought process was probably something along the lines of, I don't feel clear today. I'm not sure if I'm in the right headspace for this today. I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Helpful.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And if I think about that, like, is that the right space to go into a podcast? Right? Oh my gosh, I can talk till I'm blue in the face about mindset and thoughts.
Yeah.
I can, so I do know what I'm saying. I can get clear.
So what were your feelings? Oh, sorry.
No, absolutely right. My feelings were, this feels hard today. Or we could put this one off. You caught me out procrastinating. And just kind of trying to avoid doing the thing, taking the action that I know will get me the result that I want.
Yeah. And probably feeling doubtful of what we were going to say, and kind of that questioning it. So then our actions then, I don't think we would have spoken with A, such clarity, and
Mm-hmm.
B, with such belief and the passion that we have on this topic, right? And the result probably would have been an episode that didn't feel good, that
Yeah.
wasn't, probably didn't land with you guys as much as this one will. So what we did do was we changed that, right?
Yeah. And by changing our
Mhm.
physiology, it was just a decision to
Yeah.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay, let's change this up. So
Yeah.
we literally got up and we danced and we put some music on, we changed our physiology, we got into peak state.
Yeah.
And that's another choice.
Yeah.
That's another choice. And I appreciate some days we're just like, I just can't get into peak state now. I just can't get into
Yeah.
a better state. And it's okay to feel that too. But if
Yeah.
we really want to move forward and want to do the things that we want to do, we know we wanted to record this podcast and we know we're clear
Yeah.
on it and we know we're going to enjoy it. And we know we're going to share loads of value, but we just had to make sure we were in that right state. So changing our physiology, changing those thoughts
Yeah.
made a difference. We took the
Because
action.
that's it. Because then after that, you're like, it's like, I was then saying, we know exactly what we're talking about. Like, we
Yeah.
can do this. Today is
Yeah.
the day that we're recording this podcast. We're
Absolutely.
we're all hooked up. We had everything good to
Yeah.
go, guys, and we were going to
Yeah.
put it off. Why?
Yeah.
Because of
Oh,
our
well, if we're
thoughts.
peeling back the layers, there's probably some fear going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what,
Probably. Yes.
when we peel right back, it always comes back to that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fear of not
Yeah.
enough,
And
But
this is this journey, guys. It's getting those, like, we needed to get that, discovery hat on again today and explore. Why are we feeling that way? Right. But do we want to feel that way? No. Do we want
yeah.
to film this podcast today? Yes. Right. Let's do something about it. Let's change something. Let's
Mm.
put some better, like you say, input in. Let's change
Yeah.
that state. And let's tell ourselves that we know what we're talking about, because we do. We've been
Yes.
practicing this.
Yes. And when
And
you start to do this, when you start to, so the route is start by becoming aware.
Yeah.
So you just got to start like, okay, how do I become aware, Kat? Just start paying attention, right?
Yeah.
And you might not know what these thoughts are straight away.
Yeah.
But tap into the feeling. How am I feeling in this moment?
Yeah.
Okay. And just sit with that for a bit. You might even want to journal. Get your pen and paper out. And just write whatever comes to you, and ask yourself, how am I feeling? And leave it there to start.
Yeah.
But then just keep exploring that further and further. So you might want to look at, right, how am I feeling? So what was going on in that moment? And you just basically trying to get really detective and really curious on what's going on internally. So I felt this certain way. So what happened? Did somebody say something? Did I say something? What was I thinking? And just start to explore. So first of all, you've got to raise that awareness. Then when you're aware of it, you can start to listen.
Yeah.
Give yourselves time and space to listen, because you'll hear it. You will. And it's a practice, but you'll absolutely hear it. And then just when that thought pops in, let's just assume it's not very helpful for a minute. Acknowledge it. Know that that's okay, because we will always have negative thoughts, but it's what we choose to do with them that matters.
Yeah.
You could even thank it. Thank you for trying to keep me safe.
Yeah.
And then you can choose to flip it. You can choose to turn it around. You can choose a better thought, a more encouraging thought, a more serving thought. Now, I started doing this over 15 years ago when I was first introduced to coaching, but mainly NLP, so neuro-linguistic programming, which is basically how our minds are programmed and the way that we think, and we can change it. There's lots of different kind of beliefs under NLP that you can change your thinking, and success leaves clues and all this. So I started doing this over 15 years ago, and I can guarantee that we can all go on this journey to changing what's going on inside, changing that internal dialogue, changing that language, and we can absolutely make it work for us. Like, I started as a beginner. I started completely unaware. I started as a 24-year-old on autopilot. And I was just made aware of what was possible when we start to tune in. And it's really exciting. It does take practice. I know I've already mentioned this, but you just got to keep going with that new thought pattern. And I think a really easy way, once you're starting to become aware of what's going on, to get started is think of yourself as somebody you love and somebody you care for, and think of what words you would say to them, because sometimes that can feel a bit easier. So if you were, let's say my thought process is, oh, I'm just not good enough, or why even bother? I can think, oh, let's think that that's Charlotte saying that to me. What would I say back to her? Come on, just give it a go. You know you are good
Yeah.
enough. And it's using that better language for
Yeah.
ourselves, like, because we can do that.
Yeah.
And then
Absolutely.
it's building on that.
I love that. I love that flip into actually what would you say? Like, because we're so good at giving out advice,
Yeah.
aren't we, to other people? And it's like, actually, let's start giving it to ourselves and see what happens. Like, I remember obviously my journey with all of this is much more recent and probably in the last 2 or 3 years. But obviously I was wanting to do something. I was wanting to get, my business idea out there and into the world. And I remember coming up against so much resistance and thoughts of, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Like, people like me don't do this. I'd kind of missed the boat with my career. How can I just build a business now? Like, so much came up internally, and it was all, around fear, that I was scared to put myself out there. But I read something that said that our body doesn't know the difference between anxiousness and excitement. And so for the first, probably, well, I still say it to myself regularly now. So for the past few years, I have tricked my body, and I literally say, I am so excited to see what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
And the power in that, because there's something inside me that does get excited about that, that literally, let's explore, let's see what is possible. And that's just a thought, a simple thought that I have shifted from being scared to put myself out there to being excited about what I'm capable of. And that small shift has allowed me to continue to go on this journey, because without that, I would have kept hitting that block of fear. But I was like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember visually stepping out of my way, and I'm just getting excited about what I'm capable of. That's it. That's all I need to do.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so we've also both got very different stories of how we've started doing this work, but the point is starting, isn't it? And it's just exploring, what are those thoughts that I'm having right now that aren't serving me? The one I've had that I still have, actually, to be honest, I'm not a gym person. So if you're forcing yourself to go to the gym, but you're telling yourself you're not a gym person, that is always going to be hard. That is something that I have realized, and I've kind of released that because I exercise in other ways at the moment, and I'll maybe deal with that one in the future. But yeah, I can be a gym person. I just probably don't want to be. The reality is.
And if we, think about it like that, like the whole analogy of talking to yourself as you would a friend, like if you just got to look at it. If your friend was going to apply for a new job, and they told you and you went, don't go for it, why are you bothering? You won't get it anyway. There'll be people better than you. You're not good enough for this. Imagine saying that to your friend. I don't think that you'd be a friend for very long.
No.
Like, they'll go, seriously, like, what why are you saying this to me? But we'll do that so freely to ourselves. Of course, we're not going to go into that interview feeling confident. We've already dismissed ourselves before we've even left the house. So you really got to think here, what feelings is that going to generate? Are you going to be feeling pumped for that interview? No. So what's your energy going to be like when you sit down that chair? Not on point, not pumped. So it's all connected. The thoughts, our language, our physiology, our focus, it's all connected. So we think in a particular way, we will feel a particular way. We will therefore behave in a particular way, and we'll get a particular outcome. If we want something different, we've got to do something different, but it's got to go all the way back to the thought process. And that's what's really exciting. One thing I want to quickly share is I used to hate to be alone. I used to, before I did any of this work, I would hate to be alone for the one reason only, that I'd be up in my thoughts. And it was a really scary place. And I just want to share that for anyone that's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to think. But I can just say, when you do it, when you do embark on this journey, and trust that you're doing it all for the right reasons, for your growth, for your development, for the love of yourself, for everything that's possible for you in your life to make it the best life that you want to live. It's okay to do it. Like, I had to eat that frog. I had to go there, should we say, and I had to give myself some time and space. And I know it can feel scary. So I just want to share that, because I can really relate to not wanting to do this. But when you do, when you kind of push through that discomfort at first, if that happens for you, it's so much better on the other side, because you'll get so much more control, and you'll step out of those repetitive thoughts that were just not making you feel good. You
Yeah.
can start to change it. And I just want to share that, because there's hope there, and it is encouraging to know that if you're aware of your thoughts at the moment, they aren't good, and you're trying to avoid them, you
Yeah.
can absolutely change them. You do have that power. And the
And
other
I
thing
think that's it with, oh, sorry.
sorry, no, go on.
That's the same with journaling, isn't it? We can come up against quite a lot of fear with journaling, because it's like almost those thoughts are safe up there in our heads, and to get them out can feel scary, and also to confront them, like you say, and actually actively choose to think about them can feel very big and very scary. And I think it is that beginning part, really listening to yourself, isn't it? And just like you say, choosing to do it for the right reasons, choosing to see and be open to just maybe a new way. And what obviously, we do all of this in the membership, but I think it is such a beautiful journey when we just start doing things that little bit differently, and just choosing that different choice, choosing to, if you see a thought pop up and it's not very nice, go, okay, let's just leave that there, and let's flip that and like see what happens. Definitely. Sorry, it keeps,
and it's being realistic on this journey as well. I'll give you an example. Probably 3 weekends ago, it's going to sound really trivial, but at the time I was like, I can't do this. It was really early on a Sunday morning, and my girls have dance competitions, and I have to do their hair in ballet buns, which I really have to dig deep for my patience, because they still don't keep their head still. But across the coming weeks, like, things have just been piling. I've had a lot on, and I think it was just the straw that broke the camel's back, should we say. And I kind of had a little bit of a breakdown, and I burst into tears, and I not just internally, but verbally, the words that were coming out were, I can't do this. I can't do this. Like, it was a real full on, can't do this moment. And bless my girls, talk about being a role model, and that they're following and watching what we do. Betsy held my hands. She was like, "You can, mommy, just breathe." I was like, okay. I was like, yes, you're picking this up. This is good.
Yes,
so that was a win in the bag. But yeah, I had to then in that moment decide, am I going to carry on with I can't do this on repeat and continue to feel this way? Or am I going to take the sound advice from my 9-year-old and just breathe, breathe? And I did have to make that shift that moment. I did need to let it out, because it had been piling up and I could just feel it in my body. So I did just have to have a massive cry. And then I was like, right, okay, so what do I want to do with this now? And there was a choice in that moment, right? I'm going to feel a lot better if I just switch it up and go, okay, we've done that, we've got it out, I can do this, let's breathe, let's get back to where we were. So I just wanted to share that it's not that you work on your mindset and you never have a negative thought or a thought that doesn't serve you ever again. It's you do, or you will. Let's be real here, you will.
You will.
But it's what you do with it, and it's how long you keep it on repeat for. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that.
And that's a really beautiful thing, isn't it? Because it's all about building this relationship with ourselves as we do this work. And it's such a beautiful journey. Like, I mean, my self-talk used to be, just awful. Like, for as long as I can remember, I just put myself down, and it was a beautiful trait to have, because I did put everybody else first, and that was lovely. But it was always at the expense of myself, and I would just burn myself out looking after everybody else, and I would still be so harsh to myself in my mind. And this journey has just transformed that inner chatter to a place that I like to be. I quite like those moments to myself where I go, or I'll say something, say like a negative thought does come up, or, something's triggered me or something like that. I'll come away and I'll just go, okay, let me know what to do with this. Have a think, like you say, you have to feel those things and do that. But when you're ready, just go, right, let's put that detective hat on. And it's quite now a really nourishing moment for myself where I'm like, it is full of kindness and it is full of love. And it's like, let's do this differently, And that's been really, really
Mm.
wonderful. So for anyone who is feeling those fears, just to see the light at the end of that tunnel, like there is so much power in creating a beautiful space to be in your mind rather than a place that you're trying to run away from. And I know that it can feel scary in the beginning, but as someone who has also, felt that fear and that resistance and that incredible discomfort to be alone and, figure all this out, it is well worth the journey. And I think you just build an inner power and strength inside that no one can take away from you, and things can happen, and yet we're always gonna, I've had some challenges myself recently, but it's not so easily knocked, and you know who you are and you've got that inner strength that you didn't have before. So there's a lot of power in this work. There is a lot of power, and this is why we always say to, our members in the membership to be so proud of yourself for doing this work, because you don't have to. In reality, we could all choose to stay on autopilot and not think about our thoughts and not grow and just see what life gives us. Or we can choose this option, and we can choose to really create the life that we want to live, and create the feelings that we want to feel from those thoughts as well. So yes.
And you just summarized it so well in saying that it's making it a beautiful space to be. It gets to be a beautiful space. And that's what's exciting. That's what this journey is about. And just like you join a gym membership to look after our bodies. We have our membership to look after your minds and do that work. And do that practice.
And do it together. And I think that's so wonderful, because we are all different. We all have very different stories. However, we can all have very similar thoughts. And this is something that comes up for us time and time again. It came up in our recent move challenge, didn't it? We're all thinking very similar thoughts. And when we just unearth that, when we embrace that vulnerability and that openness, it's like a big deep breath of like, oh my goodness, it's not just me. I can let this rubbish go a little bit and just embrace who I am, and really just go on this journey of self-discovery and awareness and all the good stuff. So fabulous. Well, thank you so much for listening, guys. Go and build that awareness and be proud of yourself every step of the way. Your thoughts are powerful. They really, really are. And they are creating your future. So start tweaking them. Be proud of yourself every step of the way. Sending so much love.
Take care, guys. Speak soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.